It is the Riot podcast on this Tuesday, and what a glorious Tuesday it is.
Obie said it off air, so it doesn't make it into this podcast, but we are 3 weeks away.
3 weeks today.
From Christmas.
Away from Christmas.
It's like, all right, it goes so fast when you hit this part of December.
It really does.
Yes, obviously it does because the calendar, and I mean, we're just down at less days, but it just goes so quickly.
It really does, and here we is.
Here we go.
Yeah, so this is it. We're counting down, everybody.
Let's enjoy the days while we have it, okay?
Yeah, and okay, like, you know what? This is a whole other break, whatever, but the Christmas, I could write a song about this. You know, the Christmas lights are up.
Yeah.
They're hung by the chimney with care, but I just feel like Christmas, I'm just not.
You're not in it yet.
I'm not.
You're not in it yet.
I mean,
don't
it's coming.
panic. Do not panic.
Okay, I'm not panicking.
It's going to come.
I'm not going to panic.
I think next week when we have our Christmas party, it'll come.
All right.
And then we'll start getting into our Christmassy stuff. And then we've got a upcoming Riot Ugly Christmas Sweater Party Part 2.
Yeah, okay.
That will be a lot of fun. So once we get closer to less days of work but more Christmas days off, then you're going to feel the Christmas spirit.
But that's probably true because you're right. Like, we've got our Ugly Christmas Party Sweater.
Ugly Christmas
I can't say it. See, I'm not in it. I'm not in it yet. I'm not in it yet. But like I did that, and then that weekend before Christmas, I signed up to volunteer for a bunch of community stuff because I was just like, you know what? Let's just do it. I am hoping that somebody somewhere downloads Christmas to me over that time, so I can
once you hit right around that part, then you're totally going to be in it.
Okay.
So it's just this that's keeping that from happening.
Man, this place is holding me back. So hey, speaking of being held back, we're not holding anything back in today's podcast. We're giving it all to you. The kind of stuff we're talking about, we do talk about the Captain Marvel trailer, how your wedding proposal's not good enough. It's just not good enough.
Well, you only have one ring, so that's not good enough.
Porch piracy, Friends, the flagpole story, Siberian flights and cabin fevers, and Urban Meyer and Raspberry Pis, and how nice the Canadians are.
A good assortment of items.
Mm-hmm. So you guys enjoy today's podcast. And remember, anytime you want, you know where we are. Just stop on by.
And if you're like, I want to be in the Christmas spirit, don't forget, while we're counting down till Christmas, check out us hosting our RadioU Christmas channel so you can actually hear Christmas music. That's on our RadioU app. You can download that for free. If you have a Roku box, our RadioU channel's there too. And then, of course, through RadioU.com. And enjoy the Christmas channel. It's got some new music on it for you.
With all that Christmas spirit. All right. So everybody enjoy. Bye.
Turn it up loud enough and your neighbors will call the cops. Because it's obviously a cry for help. It's the worst of the riot on RadioU.
Hi, guys.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Happy Tuesday.
You know what? Happy Captain Marvel's trailer premiere during not the Super Bowl.
Monday Night Football
last night, and it's everywhere today.
I saw that it was trending this morning, but I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, I've watched it.
Do you like it?
You know, Nikki, you can't have a hero without her.
Is that the tagline?
But it kind of. I mean, it's in there. And just to be clear, I thought that was a pretty clever way to do it. But I think it looks fantastic.
And it's out in the spring next year or next summer?
That would be March 9th, March 8th, 2019.
A little earlier in the year than I thought it normally would hit.
Well, as I understand, they need you to see this so the next Avengers movie makes sense. And I believe that comes out in May of next year.
Well, then that timing does work out, doesn't it?
It does. Well, the good news is many of you like me as you're headed into next year. You're like, what's the point of even having another year? Like, what does 2019 have to offer me?
Why even bother with it?
And you know what? I've got some great news. We at least have Captain Marvel, if nothing else.
Did you like the trailer, though?
Oh, I think it looks fantastic.
Think it looks good?
Absolutely. I'm also really fascinated by, and we don't know how much, but, you've got Samuel Jackson in this movie playing a significant role, and they've done that de-aging thing digitally.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so on the screen, they digitally make him look younger.
Right. So he shows up looking like himself, and they digitally make a younger Sam Jackson, and it's weird how good it looks. We've seen them. If you go all the way back to what was like 2011, 2012, when Disney made that new Tron movie, it's so bad. Like, they make Jeff Bridges look young, and instead he just looks like
scary
freak of nature, man. Like something's not right. After a few years, they seem to have really nailed that tech. Because
that'll be interesting to see.
I know. I just want to know, how long does it last? Does it last a long time? Because same with Ant-Man and the Wasp last year, they had, what's his name?
Anthony Hopkins?
No,
Michael Douglas.
And he's only young. It was Michael Douglas and it's a woman... Michelle Pfeiffer.
Okay, there you go.
It's only a really brief time, but it's weird how good they look with this tech.
So you mean can it hold up if they're young
across
the whole movie?
A whole movie?
Sure.
How long can this really look good? Well, we gonna find out.
So it could cross over to being, again, very spooky looking after a while.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I'm super interested, and I know this may come as a shock to you, but I'll probably see Captain Marvel.
No, you know what? I didn't think you would. I am surprised.
Yeah,
Not really.
It's a shocker. It's probably going to happen.
If Nikki sounds a little bored this morning, it's because Obadiah is still talking.
Too much talking.
It's the Riot on RadioU.
Talking.
Well, I think we should all be encouraged by the fact that stupidity is something that is generational. Meaning that just because you learned your lesson, one day you're going to have a kid. Probably not tomorrow, maybe not 10 years from now, but you're going to have a kid. And at whatever stage of its life, that kid's going to be just as stupid as you are.
Is it supposed to make you feel better?
It should make you feel better because as you continue to make mistakes, it's like, oh, you'd think society had moved past this by now. But in reality, we'll never move past it.
I still think there's a basic amount of stupidity that we all face just as we grow up, and we all have it.
And I think this is an excellent example. Spencer Klein, 11 years old. This was all over the news yesterday if you missed it. He's from Illinois. And despite the fact that he saw A Christmas Story, a movie which is celebrating its 35th year, he's 11, that movie is 35 years old. Here's what that means. For 11 years of his life and 35 of somebody else's, there's been a piece of knowledge that's been easily available to everyone. And that is, if you stick your tongue out and the fire pole is frozen or whatever, and you stick your tongue to it, it's going to stick to it.
But I remember when I was younger, I always thought...
We saw it happened to Flick. It's real.
But I remember when I was young and I always thought, well, I wonder if that really happens. Or at what point does your tongue stick to it?
And see, Nikki, that right there...
leads to the stupidity.
That right there. They say true wisdom is not learning from your mistakes. It's learning from the mistakes of others.
And so he stuck his tongue to a cold pole.
Yes, he did. And guess what?
It got stuck?
It stuck.
Don't you just add warm water? Or not panic? Or what do you do? Okay, you make that noise for a while.
Yeah. So his friend ran off to get some hot water. Also, they called the fire department.
Oh, see, I wouldn't have made a big deal. Before you call the fire department, why don't you just try the warm water first?
He didn't call. Somebody else did.
Oh, someone else did?
Because Nikki, he's stuck in a thing.
Well, I know, but there's no need to draw attention, everybody.
Well, it definitely happened. So there you have it. Oh, and
they had to cut his tongue off?
They did. They cut his tongue off, and he's never seen. No,
that's how you really learn a lesson. Like, everybody will pay attention then.
Boy, that's the truth. And he has no taste buds left.
Mm-hmm.
He'll never taste food again.
It could just be a lie. You just send that rumor out. Like, I heard he lost his whole tongue.
No, because then if you start the lie, then people are like, no,
watch this. Show me.
Let's see it. Okay? I wish Mythbusters was still on. So he did it. He managed to remove his tongue, though he said a bunch of his taste buds were left behind on the pole. And that was before his friend came with the hot water.
What do you do then? Do they just regrow back? Or
They do, actually. And so he ended up the, first responders, emergency squad, ambulance. They came and I don't know what they did, but they were basically like, yeah, he's going to be okay. It'll just take a while to grow back.
Sure. Well, lesson learned.
No, it's not. Lesson is not learned.
Learned the lesson.
Spencer learned that lesson. And I'm telling all of you that lesson. But you know what's going to happen? I mean, it's not going to take 11 years from now. It's going to be a month.
You hear the sirens call, and you're like, I wonder, will my tongue stick?
Somebody else be sticking their tongue to it.
That's
it's just going to happen.
It is.
You know why? Because even though certain parts of society move forward, basic human stupidity will be with us always. We'll always have it.
Your morning, but without yelling, laughing, or music.
Don't deprive me of that.
We wouldn't dream of it. It's the Riot on RadioU.
So you would think by now that people wouldn't care, but apparently they do. I'm talking about friends. Friends, is on Netflix. Friends is an NBC mid-90s to what? Mid-2000s?
I think so, but it's had a resurgence.
It's had a big resurgence.
And the resurgence has been for several years. So not only here in the United States, but if you actually look at different countries, including China, it has had such a big resurgence, as that is how a lot of people are learning English as a language from Friends specifically.
Hey, my Korean professor, well, he was a comm professor, but he was from Korea. And I think he earned his PhD in Korea. Dr. Kim, he told us that he learned English slang from Three's Company.
Really?
Which is
an old show.
Three's Company and Cheers, which is, I don't know, they're old shows, I guess. But
well, Friends is the one that a lot of people use, and people still watch the show.
It was weird to me to see Netflix announce that, hey, Friends is going to be gone as of like January 1st, 2019. And there was a lot of people.
I think people just like to have it on.
In a lot of age brackets. Like, your aunt likes Friends? Sure she does. It was on when she was in high school. But, like, I don't know. I was surprised by just the multi-generational response to Friends leaving Netflix. And it makes sense because here's the thing you got to be aware of. Disney's content is slowly but surely leaving Netflix and is going to pop up on Disney Plus, which is going to be their streaming service next year. Warner Brothers announced their own streaming service that should be launching next year.
Here it is.
Guess who owns Friends?
Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers does.
So guess who would want Friends on theirs?
Warner Brothers.
Boy, gone are the days, right?
I know.
We're just going to be stretched with so many devices and companies because you happen to like that one show and they suddenly own that one now.
It's like this. You don't know it yet, but you're at the end of the golden age of streaming. Like, you will tell your grandkids about how you used to have this thing called Netflix, and everybody put their stuff on Netflix. And then everybody was like, why are we letting Netflix make money when we can make money ourselves? And then everyone pulled back and had their own channel. And it was cable again, but more expensive now.
It's basically how our future looks.
Yeah, it pretty much does. But Netflix came out yesterday and they're like, hey. Nope, we fixed it. Friends will continue on Netflix through 2019.
So that means, let's peel back the onion that is the Netflix world. The Warner Brothers thing isn't ready to launch anytime soon yet, but their deal was almost up. So that means they paid for an extension to kind of bridge the gap until the Warner Brothers stuff is released.
Yeah. And a new Netflix original coming next year, Companions.
Not at all like Friends.
Buddies.
Yeah, right.
About a group of 20-somethings that struggled their way through New York.
Now, if you think about it, though,
hijinks ensue.
There are a couple of shows that maybe if you did grow up with it or if you just watched it enough that it's the mindless thing of you can just turn it on and it doesn't really matter where in the cycle of seasons you are.
You just know.
You can just know it. Like, you can just pop it on and watch. I think a lot of people like Friends for that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you what, Nikki. They can keep watching it on Netflix for one more year.
Because it's been extended.
But I'll tell you what's going to happen. It's all falling apart.
You remember that time you started your morning with a gas station breakfast sandwich and immediately regretted it? Yeah, it's like that. The Riot. RadioU.
I hate having to start your morning this way, but I just want you to know that your best isn't good enough and you're completely inadequate.
It's a little harsh, isn't it?
Well, I mean, that's what the internet's there to remind us all of, Nikki.
Well, yeah, we're used to that, but somehow hearing you say it.
You're dating and you've been thinking about proposing. And, there was a time in life when proposing was good enough on its own. There you were saying, hey, I want to lay down my life for you. Would you be willing to live your life with me? Like, the concept was romantic and wonderful. And then we invented cameras, and someone happened to take a picture at a proposal somewhere. Fast forward through the internet and your cell phone, and now, if your engagement is not being filmed and photographed in at least 8K...
You're not doing it right.
Oh, and by the way, showing up with one ring...
Well, the ring needs to be 8K for it to show properly in 8K.
Honestly, it's a little cliche, right?
2 rings? What are you supposed to do with 2 rings?
You're not going to give her a choice at all? Really? Because some people are saying this proposal is fake and that it was just for publicity and et cetera, et cetera. But it doesn't matter whether it's real or not. Trickle down
starts a trend.
It's going to start a trend. It's going to start an expectation. And that's this. Dennis Brown II, he used to be a pro football player. He's now a model and actor. He staged an elaborate marriage proposal to a woman, and her name was Atara. And he showed up with a red box containing 6 engagement rings.
So she can choose from them?
And she could choose which of the rings she liked the best.
Well, or what you can do is you can still propose and then you guys pick a ring if you don't want to get all 6 and check them out.
Oh, what's the return policy on a ring? Can you just take it back?
Maybe if he has enough money, or if you're right, if it was like a deal with the jeweler or something for publicity, he probably just borrowed the others and then you buy the one.
So, but again, your plan, you're like, it's going to be fun because it's going to marry me and then all our friends will jump out or whatever it is.
Not enough.
I just want you to know it's not good enough. Whatever you have, the internet has something better and you're going to be held to a standard that's impossible to reach. Yay, technology.
And now you have to have 6 rings.
Yay. And in case you're wondering, she picked the pear-shaped ring.
Really?
Which, you know what? I love that because I feel like that communicates to him that it's okay for him to let himself go. Honey, I loved pear-shaped things.
So you
and
can
as
go
time
ahead and
goes on, I'll love you, my little pear-shaped husband.
A ring says a lot.
Don't you think that's what she's saying?
Probably so.
I mean, it seems like that's what it is for me. But yeah, you know what? You decide for yourself what she's communicating. But yeah, everybody get ready. It's time to make a big proposal. Dude, this reminds me of this time. I had a friend of mine who proposed to his girlfriend in a huge crowd of people, big gathering, whatever. She said yes. And then afterwards was like, no freaking way.
At least she said, well, I don't know if that's worse or not.
What's worse? Now you have to go around and tell everybody.
If it was a bunch of strangers and you were in public and she said yes, then that at least helps the embarrassment of in that moment. But if all your friends and family were also there with all the strangers, then that adds another layer. That's sticky.
Yeah. I feel like if you're going to propose, I see the argument of you should be man enough for them to say no, of course. But I feel like I want to have a pretty good idea where that question's headed before I throw that question out there.
A lot of times people discuss the possibility of it before you go asking.
Yeah. But you know what? I got a better idea. How about this? What if you show up with 5 of your friends and each of you has 6 rings and you propose marriage, but she can pick one of your friends and then one of their rings?
It's like a TV show.
It's great.
You're hearing it for the first time, and it sounds terrible.
It's the worst of the riot on RadioU.
So I don't know if you guys are paying attention, but it is the Christmas season.
Aww.
Which means it's time to get an extra job to help pay for all them Christmas presents.
That is something a lot of people want to do.
You know how much easier it would be if we all just decided to not give gifts and we just, hey, we're going to get together, eat cookies, watch a Christmas movie? Then nobody has to get an extra job. There's no pressure.
No one has to trade gift cards for the same amount when basically there's no need to buy each other anything.
Did you get you a gift card? I got you a gift card. Oh, yay. So why don't we just cancel Christmas? Okay.
No. You're just canceling or changing up that part of Christmas. That's
just kill the gift cards.
The material side of it.
And so, without that, what is there?
Well, then you can still be with family and friends. You could still go have dinner and like you said, Christmas movies.
Nikki.
Yay! Christmas movies.
I'm a material girl, and this is a material world.
Right.
Come on. I can't. We can't just cancel it like that, all right? But what I've been thinking about recently is instead of getting a new job or a part-time job to help pay for Christmas, what if we just started going around and stealing people's Christmas presents?
Oh, off the porch? Porch
matey,
pirates?
I'm talking about me porch piracy.
I don't know how... I could never do that because I'm so excited when something's delivered to my house.
But, Nikki, you could experience that day after day.
I can't do that to somebody. Be like, oh, it's gone.
But you totally could, because you know what? Amazon's going to have to pay for it.
No.
And Amazon is nothing but a big conglomerate getting rich off our tax dollars. It's thievery's built into the cost, et cetera, et cetera.
I mean, the poor person then has to contact you. You see them looking out the door like, well, I wonder did it get to another neighbor? I wonder what happened.
But you don't have to see that because you're long gone. Because as a porch pirate, Nikki, you just keep sailing.
You just keep going. Yeah. That's not my style, so I can't be a porch pirate.
And I'll tell you something else you do. At least from what I've heard, one of the best ways to be a porch pirate is you don't do that in your neighborhood. You don't number two where you eat.
True, that you have to go far away.
Yeah, you drive like to a whole other town and you just go through snacks and packages. And you never work the same neighborhood.
I've never seen a porch pirate in action.
Well, I mean, you've seen video.
Well, yeah, but not like in person.
Well, here we have a 31-year-old man that was just captured for his porch piracy. And here's the part that I love about it. Police knew there'd been some porch piracy in the area, and they were on the lookout for it. Well, this guy is driving around without his headlights on. Mm-hmm. So the cop is like, woo, woo, pulls him over. He's like, hey there, buddy, know where them headlights is?
What are you doing?
And he's like, boy, you sure do have a lot of packages in the back of your car. Why don't you just let me take a look at what you got there?
Pull your boat on over.
And so he did, and he's like, wow, these are all addressed to different people at different addresses. Well, why don't we go back and see what we can find? Wow, you have 175 boxes at your house right now.
I think you're stealing them.
The sad part is they've got photos of the stuff that he stole, and yes, there are some adult diapers in there, but other than that, it's a lot of toys.
That's the risk.
A lot of toys.
That's basically the risk of what you're doing. I mean, you can't guarantee someone's going to actually have something you want on the porch.
Oh, like here's Laney's camping trip. But you resell it. You put this stuff on Craigslist.
Then you know what you've just done right there? You've created a job. You're doing a job.
You've created. That's exactly what this is.
You need to go do an honest one.
Yeah, but this is job creation. You don't have to pay taxes. And I'll tell you this right now. When you're selling stolen goods, that's 100% profit.
That's why when you're like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, and they're like, yeah, hardly ever used. I'll sell it for like $10, $20 cheaper than what it is. You're like, well, why do you have this? Well, no reason. Like, where do you think it came from?
Yeah.
You're stealing it.
The only thing I will say that I do think is legitimately a bummer is that, you think of like a porch pirate as somebody who is just, broke and they're struggling and, maybe you shouldn't be making fun of them. Maybe we should just help them reintegrate into society.
It's not normally what that person is.
Driving an Escalade. They have photos of his car. It is a Cadillac Escalade.
This is just his job.
Sympathy out the window. I have none for this guy.
Nikki and Obadiah. Obadiah and Nikki.
Love, hate, hate, love.
All right, everyone in, let's go.
It's the worst of the riot on Radio U.
Your mom finally does something cool, and what ends up happening? Jail!
She goes to jail?
Yeah,
it's so cool that you get to go to jail.
The thing that bums me out about this is a great story until you dig past the first layer.
Sure, that it's sad.
Yes. First layer, this story is awesome. Mom takes girl and friend so they can camp in Walmart. And I was like, yes, okay. My mom is taking us to Walmart. We're going to play a game. Can we stay all night without security finding us? Can we do this?
Sure.
Sweet. And then you find out there's like drug charges involved and blah, 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 blah.
Okay, so.
Because what ends up happening is that the mom didn't stay. She just dropped them off. And then when she came to pick them up, the police were like, are these your kids? And she was like, I don't know who they are, but of course it was her kids.
It just goes downhill from there.
Then the police are like...
That's hard after, before the holidays, like your mom ends up just not even acknowledging you.
It's fine. It's fine. So they were, quote unquote, camping inside the store's clothing section. When they were approached, they left. And then they ended up finding out that these girls were 10 and that they were taking part in this this whole thing.
Sure.
Whatever. So
the spending the night in the store, that's nothing new. That's been a viral thing for quite some time.
We should do that.
I'm not spending the night in the store.
Why not?
Because we get so little sleep.
It would be so fun.
We get so little sleep. I don't even want to try to have a night of even less sleep.
Plus, the thing is, like for us, we camp in the store, and that camping starts at 4 p.m.
Yes.
And by the time we wake up, they'll just think we're the night stock people.
Like, they might even the store, by the time we get up, might even still be open. So I don't think it works the same way for us.
Well, Walmart's 24/7. So
yeah, you're just supposed to not loiter, I think, and so they don't want you, sleeping there.
So you know what we do? Just every time they're like, we're going to kick you out and be like, before I buy this bag of M&Ms, and then you go buy M&Ms.
The pack of gum thing.
Yeah, like, look, I did it.
I can stay overnight in the parking lot, and I can stay inside if I want.
Okay, so maybe it's not as fun, but it sounded cool because the other thing about this that made it sound cool is my mom would have never let me do this.
Well, no. Okay. The difference is it seems like this mom doesn't care.
Okay,
so there's different of she won't let me do anything fun. Sometimes moms do that because they don't want you to get hurt in any way. Yeah. And then the other type of mom just doesn't care and you can do what you want.
Yeah, because I mean, like the flip side of that is like my mom wouldn't have let me camp out at Walmart. My mom wouldn't have showed up at Walmart with a gun and heroin in her purse.
So that's this other lady.
Yeah. I see Kyle here texting 8772 RadioU. He says maybe live stream staying overnight at the studio.
No, that's just more work.
And you know what? That sounds like fun.
To you guys.
Even like us right now, we're like, oh, that'd be so much fun. And then at the end of the day, it would be like, all right, who gets to sleep on the couch? Okay. Who's sleeping on the floor? All right. Okay, which one of us snores? Oh, both of us do. Okay.
And here's the live stream that we have nothing else to talk about.
So... I don't know.
No,
maybe.
we just tell maybe. That's all we say. We'll see.
I will tell you, if you guys want to know, that coming up in the next couple of weeks, we'll be announcing the Riot's Ugly Sweater Party Christmas.
The Riot Ugly Christmas Sweater Party 2.
Party 2. Party 2.
Yes.
Dang it. Well, that's going to happen. So we won't be here all night.
But we'll be doing another Facebook Live event closer to Christmas.
Yeah, so like we'll be camping here until management kicks us out. Or our mom comes to pick us up.
Whichever one.
Leftovers from the most disgusting meal you've ever had. It's the worst of the Riot on RadioU.
Nikki, let's talk about temperature.
Yes.
How hot could it be in this room before you begin to feel uncomfortable?
Annoyed. Probably, I don't know, 76, 77, 78.
So upper 70s.
Yeah, I would think so.
And we used to have a guy that worked here that his air conditioner, this blows my mind still, was set to 80.
No.
Yeah.
Like on accident? Like it was stuck?
No, his air didn't kick on until it hit 80 in the house.
In the summer when it's hot out?
That's right.
You're supposed to, you want to walk in a room and feel a difference.
I'm like, when he told me that, I was like, man, mine's set to like 68.
I know. Like, how low can we go?
My air conditioner is actually a refrigerator. That's what it's there for. Come on. So there is this airplane. Okay. All right. So you said 78 maybe.
78 for, yes, and then it starts getting too hot to me by the time you cross over in the 80s.
Okay.
Not outside, but like when you're inside.
Right.
Because airflow is important.
It is important. I wholeheartedly agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now let's imagine that you're on a flight.
Okay.
An airplane. You ever been in a plane when it's been a little too hot?
Oh, it's miserable.
And there's nothing you can do about
There's nothing you can literally do.
Mm-hmm. Siberian Airlines had a flight over the weekend in which internal temperatures hit 100.
No, not in the plane.
And 22
it did not.
degrees.
That's not allowed.
When the air conditioning malfunctioned.
What is that? In like the top of the corner of the plane, but how was it in the seats? You have to land.
So apparently passengers, they say, began to feel unwell. And they say that they were feeling smelling burning wires. So people are starting to get really concerned. And here's what I think is fantastic. They went from, so this is Siberian Airlines in Russia, right?
Where it should be cold airlines.
So they had been standing in the terminal, negative 13 degrees Fahrenheit outside. So then they have to cross the tarmac. So they walk over in this negative 13 to get on the plane. They get on the plane, they take off, the air conditioner breaks. At its peak temperature, it was 122 degrees.
Dude, that's how you get sick, when it's like, well, I've been in the hot and the very cold and the very hot again.
So
that's terrible. I don't think you should be, like, they'd have to land the plane. They can't just fly with it like that.
Dude, I'm with you.
Dude, that's like a movie. That's a horrible plane movie where you're stuck in it.
What I can't find out is how long the flight ended up taking. It was a 900-mile flight. And so they obviously eventually landed, but it sounds like they went ahead and finished
the flight.
And then they were on.
Guess whose flight should have been free at that point?
Yeah, you know what? There are a lot of times when it's like the onboard Wi-Fi isn't working. And I'm like, you know what? I'm a little frustrated, but it's okay. It's okay. I'll let it go. But when they're like, we're sorry, it's currently 95 and climbing, but just remain calm. No.
You're like, you mean that's our altitude? No, that's the temperature.
The other thing, too, is like studies show that like when you raise the temperature, people get more irritated and more angry. So it's winter. You're sitting there with your winter coat on after you've crossed the, negative 13 degrees.
That's miserable, and I'd rather be cold, like if the heat went out or something. I'd rather be that, because you can add stuff to it. When it's 120 or something feeling in the plane, there's only so much you can do.
Okay, 0 degrees Fahrenheit or 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, but think about this. What if you're like me, you're like, I just checked my coat. I don't want to have my coat on the flight. I'll be uncomfortable.
Feel burdened by it.
I'd be too weighed down.
No, they have to have something. I would rather deal with that.
Okay.
Yeah, because then, if anything, it slows you down and you don't realize what's going on. It's the first sign.
I think I'll just go to sleep. That's the first sign
you're dying.
I'll just go to sleep. It'll be fine.
And maybe you finally will have a peaceful flight. Because you're so cold, you just can't move.
Joel says there's a movie called Cabin Fever that has a similar plot. A bad movie we haven't seen? I'll look it up.
Think Obadiah owns too many video games?
Get us out of here. Roger that.
Well, maybe you'll think differently when... Okay, you're right. There's no conceivable scenario where anyone needs that many. The Riot on RadioU.
No offense to Joel, but I don't think Cabin Fever's anything like this.
From hearing it from over here, it doesn't sound anything like the plot of you being stuck on a plane where the air conditioning doesn't work and its temperatures have creeped up into the 120s.
So it looks like it's like they have flesh-eating bacteria or something, these people that are stuck in this cabin. And it's even weirder. Okay, there's a 2002 Cabin Fever, and there's a remake in 2016. So 14 years later, they took an obscure horror movie and made another obscure horror movie.
They were hoping you wouldn't notice.
I don't know if it's shot for shot, but the dialogue in the trailer is the same.
Well, they just redid it.
You
weren't supposed to pay attention and find that out.
And the thing is, like, it's not the same actors. I looked. So
it's different.
It is different. Whatever, man. Nikki, there's not enough time for us to keep track of all these bad movies. It's a problem.
If we had a Google Doc of sorts, we could just all manage together.
Maybe we could. That's like over the weekend. Wait for this. I borrowed. I didn't buy. I borrowed Snow White and the Huntsman.
Did you?
I did. I've seen 10 minutes of it.
I didn't even want you to take it.
I've seen 15 minutes of it.
Now, we talked about that last week because we saw it on sale, and I was like, I wonder about that movie. And
I wanted to see it.
We talked about it, though. You didn't need to see it. Someone in the room had already seen it and already said,
You already saw it?
Well, is that the first one or the second one?
It's the first one.
Yeah, I already saw the first one. And I said, you didn't need to see it.
I thought you didn't see either one of them.
It wasn't worth seeing.
Okay. Well, you know what? Like, the first 15 minutes are pretty good.
You're never going to go back to it.
Now I have to spite watch it.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
I do. I need to. I need to spite watch it.
You're not going to be able to.
Well, I mean, the production design is pretty good.
Uh-huh.
I got to the part where Snow White is locked in the castle, and her friend is like, what's going to happen to me? And I was like, it's going to be bad. It's probably...
Feels like good.
It's probably not going to be good.
Great.
And the queen's like taking a bath in milk. That's weird. I mean, I think it's milk. I don't know. But it's weird. You're just like, what are you doing? And she eats the hearts of little birds. The more I talk about it, the less it feels like a great movie.
Sure. Well, I mean, if you really take apart the initial Snow White, too, the fairy tale classic, those aren't pretty.
Yeah. But it's got Thor in it. It's got a scene of him in the trailer throwing an axe that looks an awful lot like a hammer.
Don't watch it. You gave enough time to it already.
All right. Well,
just
I'm not...
Return it and you're done.
I'm not watching Cabin Fever either. It looks gross.
Well, thanks for texting us any weird movie trailers. We always like to watch.
We do, but I I can't watch this. It's a bunch of people in a cabin screaming as they realize they're infected.
A little too real.
Yeah.
Could happen.
The thing is, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but in the movies, nothing good happens when you camp. There's nothing good that happens when you go camping.
Yeah. Oh, no, is that cabin as in airplane cabin?
Well, that's...
Or cabin as in... You're in a cabin.
See, this is in a cabin.
Well, that isn't even at all like we were talking about.
I know. I feel like Joel tricked us.
We were talking about an airplane cabin.
I know. But Joel's like, Cabin Fever.
I'll get you guys to watch this.
We watched the trailer, both of them. So, and now I know, oh gosh. Do you know they made another sequel called Cabin Fever Patient Zero?
Ooh.
Cabin Fever 2? There's a lot of these movies. We're not watching them. Nope, we're not.
You sure?
Positive. Though I kind of want to know, like, this girl's missing her lips in this trailer. What's this?
She had big lips.
Don't get plastic surgery then.
What's worse than finding grounds in your coffee? Finding grounds in your coffee while listening to the Riot. It's the worst of the Riot on Radio U.
Guys, I think we got to focus. I think we got it. Now, we've talked about it too much, but I feel like there's a lesson here for all of us to learn, okay? It all started...
Don't go to the cabin.
It all started with Nikki and I looking at a story about a Russian Airlines, well, it was a Siberian Airlines flight in which the people were on board, the air conditioner broke, and they say temperatures were in excess of 122 degrees Fahrenheit.
In the cabin.
It was hot. People be sweating. It was crazy in there, right? Okay. Now, then Joel texted us and said, sounds like the plot of a cheesy movie called Cabin Fever. And I was like, oh, I've heard of that movie. And then we went and looked at it. Okay. But after looking at it and then being like, Joel, come on, that's nothing like that, whatever, it caused me to revisit
his statement,
his text message. And if you really look at it,
I got you. Oh, he wasn't even meaning the movie Cabin Fever.
He was not saying like, hey guys.
Oh.
He was saying, oh, you could make that movie and call it Cabin Fever.
He wasn't meaning Cabin Fever, a set of old bad movies, which are about a cabin in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this all makes more sense. Joel, that makes more sense.
It does. And see,
That's our bad.
The thing about that is I feel like all of us could learn a lesson that oftentimes we think we know exactly what somebody means in that text message, in that snap, in whatever. But you might just be reading it wrong.
And then that could set you on a path to watching all these old bad trailers like we've been.
Boom. See? Right
That's
there.
a life lesson.
Right there. I learned something.
It also it makes us feel better because, Joel, we were worried that you weren't listening to us at all.
Come on.
We're like, these movies do not sound at all like what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm. So it turns out that we now, after 20 minutes of your time and our time,
just about
all of us working together, we got it now.
Yay.
We got it. I feel so much better.
Of course, you guys can always text us as well.
Hey,
anytime.
Would you like to be misunderstood, but on a larger platform?
Please include your name so we can get it all right or all wrong.
Would you like us to lay the blame at your feet, even though it's our mistake? Text 877-2-RADIO-U.
We're not laying the blame. I mean, we all share the blame.
Okay.
Text messaging is hard. They're missing the tone that we talk about is very important.
It's important. Miscommunication, it's what we do.
It's very easily done.
You can also call, and maybe then we'll understand a little better.
We'll still get it wrong.
Very possible.
I'm sure there'll be a bad connection.
You've got to hand it to Obadiah and Nikki. Anyone can eat junk food all day.
Where's my food?
But they've figured out a way to get paid for it. The Riot on Radio U.
I hope you're sitting down, guys.
Well, we try to most of the time anyways.
I've just received... That's not
Is that not what you're looking for?
That's not it. Man, come on. Where is the Requiem? Here it is.
Don't panic.
I hope you're sitting down. Can we start over? Can we get a redo? I have just received word that not just a few minutes ago, barely, this is breaking news, and it's being reported by all Columbus news outlets, so this is not random. It looks like today at 2 p.m. Eastern, Urban Meyer, the head coach of the Ohio State University Buckeyes, guys, come on! The Buckeyes!
Yes.
He's going to be announcing he is retiring from OSU football.
Why are you surprised, though? People have been talking about that all season.
Nikki, I don't want to hear that kind of talk.
Right.
All right, people are always talking.
Right,
people
I know.
Always be talking,
especially when you lose a couple of games. I know.
He hasn't lost a couple of games. One! They lost a game.
There was a couple of other that were not pretty.
They were rough, but that, man, coaching in Columbus is hard, right? Because you can be winning. Ohio State had a spectacular season, and people in Columbus are like, man, who cares if we even won? It sucks here.
I think, though, it was still built into him coming back from the scandal that happened over the summer, and that was probably a part of the condition for that.
That could be. You know what my speculation is? I think that his health is not as good as we think. Like
that's a stressful job.
Well, it is, and he has that. Okay, I don't know all the details, but it's not a tumor, but he has something in his brain that's giving him really bad headaches.
Sure.
And it's incredibly aggravated by stress. He's had it since he was really young, but I guess it hasn't quite been a problem yet. But I mean, there's so many times you can see him on the sidelines, like holding his head because he's got such a bad headache.
Not in a game way, but a legitimate, that's a condition thing.
He's in pain. And so we don't know that, but we know at 2 p.m. Eastern today, according to what we're seeing, assist, that's what it is. Thank you, Chuck. He's going to announce that he's stepping down, and I just want to say that sucks.
Oh, man.
That sucks.
Couldn't he waited to tell you until after Christmas? I know.
I mean, you know what, dude? I get it. You want to see him, but he stepped down from football because, what was it, a heart attack a while ago, and then, he came back to the Ohio State job, and they made a big deal about, he had basically had certain things in place to help manage his stress, and this year, I don't know. I guess that's it.
We talk a lot about, especially in the NFL, the health of the players. And then in college football as well, since they're starting out. But I feel like people also need to recognize the health of the coaches.
Yeah.
Because that is not an easy job. And I don't think that stress just happens on the field. I think that's a very stressful job.
All the time.
7 days a week for the entire season and even outside of that.
Oh, yeah. It's something, it never stops, I'm sure.
So that'll be later today?
Yeah, they're saying 2 Eastern. That would be,
so that means
11
next
Pacific.
season really will be a rebuilding season in the biggest way possible.
Dang it.
That's the end then.
Dang it, Nikki.
Of an era.
I like Urban Meyer.
I know you do. And you like
him.
College football.
I like when we win.
I know you do too. I know. It's a correlation
there's
with
a lot of stuff wrapped up in this.
Aww.
Dang it.
Well, they'll announce that later today.
Cleveland celebrates failure with a parade. We celebrate failure with the worst of the riot.
I don't know that it's going to happen, but I'll have to tell you, over the last month, maybe even 2, I've been getting more and more interested in something. And I'll just throw this out there. If anybody is maybe currently doing this, please let me know. I've been thinking about getting a Raspberry Pi. And you're like, yeah, you would there, Tubby. No.
Not the pie, but the other. You want to build something?
Those little guys that you can kind of program them and turn them into all kinds of different things. And so,
what do you want to build?
I don't know. That's what I was looking at. Look here, Nikki, I could build a Twitter bot. Think about that. You just program it to constantly be tweeting at people. Isn't that a great idea?
Hey, we experienced that. We don't need to do that to somebody else.
That is actually true.
Chris has built a few things, I think, with his.
He has. One of the things I thought about doing is, and again, this is not everybody's going to be into this, but it's basically just a little circuit board that is a small computer that you can program to do certain things. Most of the stuff that I would have it do, I probably already have something that does that. But I think it would be kind of cool, you can build a retro gaming machine out of it. So it'll play NES ROMs or something like that. If you don't know what it is, it's fine.
Woo! Took a turn there. You feel it? Yeah. It was hard enough with Raspberry Pi.
It came
hard
out,
enough.
and I wasn't. It just came out, and I'm sorry. But
you would have been better to just say Raspberry Pi as in actually making a pie.
I know.
Baking one.
Well, the thing is, I can bake a pie. That's not a problem. I can totally do it. But
But can you program something to bake the pie?
I don't know. But it'd be kind of cool to find out, right?
I always thought it was kind of like our generation's version of Legos or, some sort of kit, or you're making it build what you want, what you would want to build.
Just kind of tinkering around with it. Here's a guy, and Chris did this. It was a home automation thing, so he could have his garage door go up and down. He had his Raspberry Pi installed so that it would raise the garage door if he told it to. That's kind of cool, right? So just different things like that you can make it do. You could turn it into, again, back in the day, people like to make a smart TV or a dumb TV smart. you don't need that now because like everything in the world does that.
Way.
I get that. But just the idea of maybe getting one and just playing around with it, I think sounds kind of cool.
I would go to a Reddit forum and see some of the ideas, because then that will help you decide. But it might be a good, like, if you take a little time off at Christmas, a little project.
Maybe like a little project to kind of work on right there. Here's 35 projects to try yourself, which is interesting. I don't know. Like, and so I'll tell you what, if I realize... Now
We've lost a lot of you already.
Now that I'm saying it out loud, I realize that I actually am talking to 2 people. So, you know what? If that's you, text me 877-2-RADIO-U. I've really been thinking about it. I think it would be cool. So you just let me know. And again, all 2 of you.
Sometimes when there's something you're really passionate about or like very interested in, when you're done talking about it, that is all that's left. Just 2 people.
Yeah, and I get that, and it's fine.
You need to make friends with these people.
I'm comfortable with that.
The Riot used to be 3 people.
Please tell me we're not discussing video games again.
The other guy didn't make it. It's the Riot.
Thank you to Jason and Matt and Aaron and other Matt.
That's your 4 friends right there.
Yeah,
that's your 4 people.
Those are all people that are doing it. So you know what, Nikki? I think I'm going to do this probably with some like a Christmas money or gift card. They're about $30.
A Raspberry Pi.
A Raspberry Pi, and then you start adding stuff to it, and of course, then the prices begin to increase. But why not? Like I think I might give this. Oh, and here's somebody else that texted in. I have 5 Raspberry Pi, making one of the media box for my mom for Christmas. Giving Raspberry Pi as gifts. And look, here's another person. We're up to 6.
We're up to 6 people.
We're up to 6. Whoa.
Guys are doing great.
Dude, okay. FYI, this is Brittany's husband. This is my Raspberry Pi. Like, he has like 400 of them. What are you doing with all of those things?
Come on, make a forum or something. Make a little group.
Whoa, Nikki, no, the numbers keep rolling in.
Stop it.
Look at all these people that are doing this.
They're texting you?
Yes.
Okay.
I just heard from Judy and from, who's this person? Same person, Rachel. So, yeah.
Okay, great.
Now we're up to like 8 people.
I know, and you got a lot of, this is wonderful for you. You got a good starting off point.
I want to make something.
Why don't you?
Because it'll require work and follow through.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we recognize that. But this is good. I don't see you too, like, excited about something that's not the normal Obadiah excitement level. So this is new for you.
I think it sounds kind of cool.
You could build something with a Raspberry Pi.
And then, like make it a tie-in, like eat a Raspberry Pi while you're doing it. I know, it's perfect.
Oh my gosh, that's your YouTube channel right there. You're building these things while you're eating different pies.
You know what, though? I think what I might like to do is, instead of a pie, what about a chocolate cake with a raspberry filling with a buttercream icing on it?
Yeah, I know that works, but I think you really need, it needs to be a pie. It has to be.
What about a black raspberry pie?
You could do that.
And then it could actually just be a blackberry pie, but we'll call it... Oh, I'll tell you, over the summer, I got an opportunity to have a blackberry... not a tort.
Cobbler?
Yes.
Oh, there it is.
It was fresh blackberry cobbler with ice cream. Let me tell you what, that's not to die for. That's to live for.
Well, eventually you'll die with
eventually it will kill you.
It does,
You're right.
It does make that faster.
All right. Well, look, shout out to all my nerds. I love you guys and girls. You know what? Sometimes it's really hard to shake the pronouns of the patriarchy, so I'm sorry.
People.
So if you guys could just go ahead and feel free, you got some good stuff, text me 877-2-RADIO-U or email that nerd stuff, riot@radiou.com, because if you're a real nerd, you're still using email. So, I mean, feel free to just throw that on over here.
The Riot, turn it down.
And rip the knob off.
RadioU.
What I would instead like to do is tell you that y'all a bunch of meanies.
Meanies?
You guys are meanies.
Well, maybe some of us are.
No. Statistically, it looks like you're all a bunch of meanies. Here's what happened. Of course, this research would come from Canada, in which Canadians have found that on Twitter, Canadians are nice and Americans are mean.
Tweets of Canadians tend to have more positive words than American tweets.
Brior Snevjella. He's a researcher at McMaster University in Ontario. Here's what he did. They used, get a load of this, 40 million tweets, eliminating bots and tweets that were not in English. So sorry, non-English speakers. So that means French Canadians and whatever the heck else we are in the United States, right? And he took a look at them. And as Nikki said, here's what they found. Canadians used a lot of really nice words. So the top words that the Canadians ended up using were...
Great, amazing, awesome, thanks were some of the characteristic words.
The top words for Americans were swear words.
In the swear jar.
And then words that evoke negative emotional states like hate, miss, bored, tired.
Well, I mean, some of those words can still be in a positive way. We just use...
like I miss being bored and tired?
Yeah, something like that.
Is that what you mean?
Or I hate that I love you so much.
I hate that I'm bored.
Yes. And they just can't tell. I feel it's a flawed study.
Well, one of the things that they wanted to say is that there has been kind of this, thought that Canadians are so much nicer than Americans, but other studies have shown, and this is what the lead researcher is saying, is that if you really get to know Canadians and Americans, our character is pretty much the same.
It's a language difference?
That.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out why is it that Canadians continue to use quote unquote nicer language, but Americans do not, even though they say culturally you would expect to be treated approximately the same in a group of Canadians or a group of Americans.
I'm not saying one is worse, but remember where was the lady at Tim Hortons when she pooped at the counter and threw it at the person? Was that America?
Was it? I don't even remember.
Or was that? That was Canada.
Was it?
That was Canada.
That was a good one.
So I don't want people to be thinking there's bad people in both places.
Okay. Well, wait a minute, though. All right. Then the difference between the pooping woman in Canada is that Tim Hortons Canada would have been like, it was great for her to stop by and visit our establishment.
It was amazing to have another amazing person in our thing where we would have been like, I hate that I missed
people pooping in our store.
Yes, and if you missed it, here's the video. That sort of thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it really is about our word choice.
It's different. I mean, every culture is different.
I guess we could all go out and try to be a little more Canadian today. A little more kindness. A little less.
Twitter's the problem, though. I think for us, we've been on Twitter for such a long time.
Yes.
We don't use Twitter, I feel like, as much as we used to. Mm-hmm. So if someone goes on Twitter, I feel like we're probably not saying something as positive because if you want to get on there and actually say something, I just don't think we use it the same way anymore. We're not talking to people. You're usually on Twitter to talk about something.
Yeah, I think that's true. It is not. That's actually one of my favorite things about Twitter is hearing from you guys talking on Twitter about, stuff on the show or sending stuff our way. But I do agree. I want to know what the next thing is, because I feel like we really have hit like this stagnant place with social media.
Yeah.
Like basically
something new.
Facebook has eaten everything. Then you still have Twitter. You still have Snapchat, Instagram, of course. But I'm just like, where's the next?
It now turns more to a messenger style.
Right.
Less of a social media.
Yeah, but Nikki, I need to be mean and brag.
Yes, and post about it.
To a public. I can't
Good call on your text says, I think Americans tend to use a lot of sarcasm, but we don't always mean to be mean.
There's some truth to that. I like sarcasm.
Well, yes, you do, and you're so good at it. People don't even know half the time you're doing it.
I know, that's terrible. Like, people think you're being honest. You're like, oh, crap.
Catch it.
I either really just succeeded or really failed. I succeeded so hard I failed.
Let's remember, let's all be a nice tweet today.
A nice tweet. I'll try to come up with one.
Thanks for listening to the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Oh, no! I missed it! Do it again!
You can hear us live every day on the RadioU network through the RadioU app or at riot.radiou.com.
I'll love you, my little pear-shaped husband.